Um, that was my idea about that.
Like it.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Basket all around the world.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, and the other thing that I'm doing is after I finish with each country, I'm asking them to send me, how many people, because not everybody's doing it live, and then how much money they raise, so that at the end we can say we had this many people over the 9 countries, we raised this much money for charity, so it'll be kind of a yay. Yeah.
You could do a basket chart saying which country, how much.
Yes, that's a great idea. Yes, I love that. Okay, Virginia, do you think we're pretty close to having everybody here?
Yeah, I think so, because I told everyone, no, I didn't use it. I told everyone if they have any distractions that they can join us. So it's no problem, because they can work with the video later. So if somebody isn't here right now, they know that they can participate with the video, and yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah.
So Virginie, is the video including also 2 views or just 1?
Pardon?
Ask Lisa. I didn't know.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, because she's recording. She's recording.
Oh yeah, the video should include both views. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. The other problem is that I'm getting over a cold, so my right ear is stopped up still, and so if I have to ask you to repeat, it's because I'm only hearing well in this ear because of all my head congestion. Okay, so ready to do a picture? So that means everybody has to get their basket, not in front of your face. Okay, now those 4 of you in the studio have to come closer to the camera. We can't even see you. Yeah. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I have to snip it. Perfect. I got it. Okay. So now we'll be happy we did that instead of waiting until the end. Although since we're doing slow, mostly we might not be that sweaty, but who knows? We might. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off the workshop going over the basket holds, and then we'll warm up, because I don't want to warm us up and then, we're just talking for a minute. And then we'll start going over the slow moves, and then I'll save some of the fast moves for the end. And please stop me if you have any questions. It's probably going to work better if you mute your microphone when you don't have questions, and then that just makes it a little bit easier for everybody to hear. Okay, so here's my basket. I use the 16-inch basket. Let me turn my light up a little bit. I don't think it's quite bright enough. Yeah, there we go. I use the 16-inch basket because when it sits on my left arm hold, I like for it to create a similar line to the line I'm creating with the right arm in ATS. So the goal is to have the basket pretty flat. You see there is a bend in my arm, but it's not a huge bend. So depending on the length of your arm, you may want to play with the basket and, the size of the basket. In general, we found that the 16-inch baskets work best. So it takes a little bit of practice to be able to, every time you put it in this left shoulder hold, to be able to have it be parallel to the ground, because it's easy, particularly if you're doing turns or if you get tired, to let it go up or down. So I'm also hitting my arm. We used to call this the left shoulder hold, but then we switched it to the left arm hold because people were holding their baskets like this. And that's not what we were going for. We really think it looks better here, and it's easier to maneuver. And it creates that nice long line coming off your shoulder through the basket. So it doesn't like cut off the line or increase the bend of your elbow. Yeah. So that is the left arm hold. And then of course the two-hand hold. And so when I'm in two-hand hold, I have my fingers on the outside of my basket, and I have my thumb hooked over. Now, the only tricky part about the two-hand hold is that when you switch it to overhead, if you can see in this, I'm taking my fingers from here, and I'm switching them to here. So it's this ridge between my fingers and the palm of my hand that I'm trying to use to switch the basket so that it can go overhead, and then switch it back. Now, you will find different ways that work to do this for you. This is the way that works the best for me, and this is the way that works the best for a lot of people. And then sometimes if the basket is vertical, I'll even hook my fingers. Like if I'm doing a roundhouse and I have switched it really quick to vertical, I'll hook my fingers so that it doesn't go anywhere rather than keeping them straight. But I'll talk about that a little bit more in fast, because in slow we don't have any basket switches that are too fast. So I'll go over slow transitions and fast transitions, so I don't have to stop and go over fast transitions later. So for slow, for the shot that you can see my whole body, although I'll make it so you can see it for both. So Taksim, like two-handed, you can bring it over and then bring your other arm out. You can do, of course, reverse Taksim. Those are probably the ones that I would do the most. You can't really do it on body wave. But let's talk about the final position, which is balance. So when your basket is over your head, what you want is it to be centered so that if you lower it, it's going to lower right onto the top of your head. So anytime your basket is overhead, you want your elbows back so that it can lower easily. And of course, that's exactly how you get into the balance position, is that you just lower it down. And then you want to, like any prop that you're balancing, take a minute to balance it, so that even if you balance it really quickly and you're used to balancing your basket, so that both everybody else has time to balance it, but also it looks harder to balance than it is. You know, if you balance it in 2 seconds, the audience is like, oh, that was no big deal. So those are the slow basket transitions. For fast.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
I have a question. When you have your basket this position, is it also parallel to the floor, or do you?
Great question. It's under my coin bra.
Yeah, but it's parallel to the floor.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's parallel to the floor. I guess it's hard to see because I have on a red top and I have a red basket, but it is parallel to the floor. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, great question. I should have said that. So what you want is you want everybody to be able to see your coin bra, but you also want them to be able to see your hips. So that's why we position under our boobs. Yes, good question. And then for the fast basket transition, we would either do it with shimmy, or you could do it with Arabic. So those are the two main ways that I would do it with the fast moves. So questions about basket holds, and then there's some moves that I'm going to teach you that start off in one hold and transition to the next, to a different hold. The other thing that I'll say about balancing before we warm up is that in slow, there's a lot of balance vocabulary. And excuse me, that's good because it's fun and it looks really impressive, but it also takes a lot of practice. So I balance really, really well, and it's both the partnership between me and my favorite basket, which is this one, but it's also lots of practice. So of course, if you want to wear a bandana or a head covering, that gives your basket more to grip onto. Some people will put things on the bottom of their basket, like beeswax, kind of like people put on swords. But I'm kind of a prop purist. I don't use anything to make my prop more sticky unless I use a headband. But I'm not saying anything against it. My fear is always that I'll put beeswax or something, and then I'll lift my basket off, and it'll lift my hair with it. So it's not that I have some, like, you know, anti product. It's more that I'm just worried that it'll be obvious because it'll catch my hair. But the other thing that you can do for those of you that are new to working with baskets is you can see the nice spiral pattern in these baskets. So you can take like a heavy container of canned vegetables or canned fruit or canned beans or something, and you can wet the bottom of your basket and you can set the heavy can on it, and it'll make it so there's a little bit of an indent, just a little bit easier to balance it. The other thing that I do is I put it on the ground and then I stick my knee in it, in the center of it, and apply a little bit of pressure. I always hesitate to recommend people do that because I don't want you to bust through your basket. So just do a little bit of pressure at a time and then, see how it goes.
I have a question regarding the first position when you hold it under your boobs and you turn your side. Is it like this? Like the rounded arms, or is it close to your body?
Yeah, so it is about 2 inches from my body.
Like just down.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
So, and my elbow's still engaged. Yeah, so it's not on. Yeah. Yeah, because you definitely want it to be able to clear all the stuff on your coin bra. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, great question. These are great questions. Okay, any holding the basket questions before we just start warming up? Everybody good? Okay. I'm going to close my participant so I see you bigger. And I'm going to warm up facing you. So don't worry if it's, if you do things backwards or whatever, it's not a big deal. keep going, not quite done yet. Okay, are you feeling pretty warmed up? No? Perfect. I always feel like it's harder to get everybody warmed up at home because, you know, you don't have all of the kind of energy of everybody around you. So, and that warm up, I had a hip replacement 2 years ago. And so that warm up is something that my physical therapist helped me come up with, because she said that when I was showing her how we warm up for dance, she said we don't warm our hips up enough for all of the hip movements that we're doing. So, okay, yay! So, let's start with two of my favorite slow moves. We'll start with the wrap first because that's not quite as difficult as the Sara turn. So let me show you what it looks like, and then I'll break it down and teach it to you. Okay, so, you know, for the regular wraparound, we're gathering with our right arm, and, you know, also gathering to the back with our left. So we created the basket to parallel that as much as possible. So I pull the basket to the right, out, and around. So it's actually making a little circle if you look at it from that angle. Yeah. So out and around. And then when I turn to the back, I'm pushing it out to my left as I'm, you know, striking the nice pose at the time that we would do the reverse floreos. So let me point out that I have my fan on and my papers keep flying. Let me put my lipstick on my papers and then they won't fly off. Okay, so it's pretty easy to keep your elbows where they're supposed to be with this. But when you push out to the side, it's easy to drop that elbow. So what you want to make sure is that whenever you have your basket, yep, your elbow is engaged and lifted. Yep. So let's do just that much from behind. Good. And then you'll lift the basket horizontal, just like you would raise your arm up. And then as you begin to turn, you will have the basket go vertical and then swoop up and over and end horizontal. So it kind of, let me make this so it goes a little bit higher. So you can see the basket a little bit, yeah, a little bit better in that view. So horizontal, elbow engaged, lift up, vertical, vertical, and finish horizontal. That make sense? One more time. Yeah. One of the things, I know you can't see me very well in the mirror, but one of the reasons I use a mirror is because I can see you, like I can see the screen in the mirror. Okay, so questions about that? Wrap, push out, overhead, and then scoop up and around, or up and over. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to teach you Sara also, and then we'll drill them both together. Any questions about that? Yeah. So make sure when you're wrapping that you are keeping the basket, and I don't know, maybe I didn't do this. If I didn't do it, do what I say. You know, you want to keep the basket still underneath your boob. So you don't want it to come up when you wrap. If I did that, then I did it wrong. Wrap, and then out, and then up, and whoop. Yeah, yeah. Just so we keep this nice line. Okay, everybody good? Questions about that? Yeah.
Could you please show it again with the back to us, because I haven't the timing when to turn and the timing about the basket movements.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm swooping out and around. I'm turning and looking at my basket. I'm lifting my basket up while I stay to the back. And then when I start the turn, that's when I swoop it. So round, push as I turn, lift up, and then swoop as I turn to the front. One more time, just to make sure everybody's got it. Around, push out to the side, lift up, turn, and end with it horizontal. And you know, like this time, I ended with part of my fingers the way I said and part of them different. So you'll figure out the way that works best for you, and then I would move them probably to different. But however it works best for you to handle the basket, just adjust your fingers as you need to. So this is kind of the basic way, but sometimes I find myself doing different variations of fingers. Okay, good. Any questions about wraparound? Yeah, that looks perfect.
When you're doing the turn, at what time is your basket going up? Is it the last half of the turn, or?
Yeah, so what I'm trying to do, that's a great question. What I'm trying to do is have the going up last the whole turn. So I'm trying to have it start and last till I get to the top. I mean, you know, till I get to the front.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's my goal, at least, is to have it, you know, the continuous movement.
Yeah, so very late. You're doing it up very late.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
okay.
it doesn't arrive at the top until the very end. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, you know, in Fat Chance, we don't count slow, but sometimes what I do with my troop is we will count it so that we can all be at the same place at the same time, particularly with props, because what happens with props is the little tiny variations become very big, you know. So if I have one dancer who is doing this, and I have one dancer who's doing this, then it's really obvious when the basket's swinging around. So you have to decide that for your group that you're dancing with, but props are going to amplify any differences in movement. And so for that reason, it's a really good thing to do with beginners. Like sometimes I'll hand my beginning students, like back when we were in person, I'd hand them all baskets. We just have a pile of baskets at the studio so that I can see better how they're doing things differently. So, okay, good. Any other questions about wraparound? No? Okay. Let me show you Sara, and then I'll break it down for you. And then there's two ending options. You can end with a floreo, or you can end bringing it up. Okay, so this one is fun because it has a fast vertical whoop in the middle. So let me teach it from the back because I think that's the easiest way. So on your first part of the Sara, when you pull down to the left hip, you're going to pull the basket down and have it land at your left hip. I'm just doing a circle so everybody can see where it is. My elbows are engaged. So I'm trying to like pull it through molasses, just like you would your arms. You know, you wouldn't let your arms just drop. You don't let your basket just drop. You try to do it very intentionally. Wait, hold on. Okay, then you turn, leaving it at your left hip. And then you lift it over your head. And when it's over your head, that's when you flip and drop it down to your right side vertically. And you turn over your right shoulder. And as you turn over your right shoulder, you're letting your basket go horizontal on your left hip. And then for now, we're just going to bring the basket overhead with two hands, but you can also leave it on your left hip. So horizontal, my basket is circling just like my hand would circle. Did I do that last time? Maybe I didn't do that last time. Horizontal, basket circling like my arm would circle. Lift up, vertical. And then as I turn this time, I'm letting the basket go to horizontal. So when I'm to the front, it's horizontal on my left hip. And then up and around. I have to be careful with these multi-section moves. If I don't do them from start to finish, I'll forget to do some. So I'm also the type of person that has to start at A when I'm saying the alphabet. I can't start in the middle. I have to start at the beginning. Okay, yeah. Yep, back down, flat. So there's only one time that this goes vertical, and that is on the second part. So horizontal, stays horizontal, back down horizontal, overhead horizontal, and then as I'm taking my right foot and putting it back, then I'm going vertical down my right side, and then as I turn, while I'm going to the back, I let it be horizontal to land on my left hip. That's the trickiest part right there. And then today we're going to bring it up with both hands. So one more time, one more dozen times. Okay, so down. Make sure your chest is good and lifted as you're bringing the basket down. My right foot's going behind to turn. Back horizontal. Lift up. Flip to vertical. Down the right side vertical. And then let it come back to horizontal. So the coming back to horizontal as you turn to the back, that's the hardest part. And then up and around. Okay, questions? Yes, TK. Oh, you gotta unmute yourself. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you, yeah.
Thank you. So after you have turned, my hands are like a little bit, I don't know, wonky, chaotic. Can you please show how your hands are?
Okay, so when I go to bring the basket down, I've got my fingers and I've clasped it inside. And then when I turn, I let the basket rest on that spot between my fingers and my hands, and I kind of hold on with my thumbs to bring it back. So I let it go from my fingers to my thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So it's horizontal, it's vertical, and then I'm letting it go horizontal by taking my fingers and I'm grabbing my thumb on top and hooking it and putting my fingers underneath. Yeah, how's that?
All right, okay, so no turning of the hands here.
Well, let's see. Well, just a little bit. Just, I turn it from here to here.
All right, okay. Mm-hmm.
Does that help?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, other questions before we drill those two moves together? Okay, I'm going to grab some water real quick. Do you get your water? Think about if you have any other questions.
Lisa, if you take only one arm up, let you sit the basket on the hip. Then okay. So it has a real contact on the hip. Okay.
Yeah. So what happens is we treat the left hip similar to what we treat the left arm. And I don't know that I'll have time today to do too much, but for example, say if I did the Sara and I finished it like this, then I could do the wraparound. And then when I go to turn, I'd grab the basket and I'd finish lifting it up.
Ah, whoa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, yeah. So actually, let me teach you that version of the wraparound with the left shoulder hold. But you can do the wraparound like this that I've already taught you. But, you know, a lot of these moves, most of these moves have more than one variation that you can use. So when I decided like what I was going to teach in the workshop, I was trying to not get too confusing. But since it's come up, let me show you the left shoulder for the wraparound. So you got it in your left shoulder hold. You do your right arm the same. Your left is the same with the, your right's the same as you reverse with the reverse floreo. Come up. And then as I'm coming to turn, I'm grabbing the basket and scooping it up and overhead just like I do with the two hands. So wrap around left shoulder is one of the moves that you can use to transition the basket from your left shoulder to your two hand hold if you want to transition it. So, and the same applies for left hip. So let's just talk about left hip. So left hip hold is not an official hold. It's more like we realized that it could look pretty cool sometimes. And so we just started doing it without like making it official. But there are a lot of moves that you can choose to leave it in your left hip and it looks pretty cool. So in my left hip hold, I actually am resting the basket kind of on top of my belt, which is right at my hip bone. And then you can see I have my elbow engaged to the extent that it can be engaged. I mean, you know, you don't want it to be like wonky. So wrap around, if I just done a Sara, I left it on, then I do the same thing, lift up, and instead of grabbing it off my shoulder, I'd grab it off my hip. Isn't that fun? I actually like the left hip hold because I think it adds some interesting texture. One of the pictures that I gave everybody for promotional stuff is us at reunion doing a wraparound with a left hip hold, and it's one of my favorite basket pictures. It just looks really cool. Okay, so let's drill these two moves, and then we'll keep going. And then, you know, the drilling you may come up with other questions too. Okay, how was that? Any questions come up during the drilling? Okay, awesome. I love those two. So the other thing, and I'll say this about wraparound for the people that are together at the studio. So one of the ways that we hand off the basket is with wraparound. So a lot of times when we're doing dances, we have only half of us with a basket and half of us without. And so we'll switch the basket in the middle. And so if I have somebody doing wraparound beside me, let's see. When we switch to the back, instead of looking to the back, that person will reach to the right and grab the basket from me. So the person on this side of me would grab the basket here, and then I would just raise both hands up, and they would raise both hands up with the basket. Does that make sense? So you can play with that, play with like switching the basket that way. But wraparound is one of the moves. Barrel turn is another move that we use to switch the basket. Okay, so we did wrap, we did Sarah, we did left shoulder wrap. Okay, let's do camel. So camel is a little bit different than the regular version of camel because we end it like loco camel. So, you know, loco camel, you switch and then you cross your left foot over and turn over back over your right shoulder. So with basket camel, it just doesn't look very good to do a torso twist with a basket in front of you. It's not very interesting. And so with regular camel, we go down, crossover up, and then cross and back overhead. So I would do whatever to get my basket up. You could also do a quick up and then down, but I don't love quick basket transitions, but you can absolutely do that. So I would probably go slow, and then my lift up, I'm coming down, and the basket's overhead, so basically I'm just moving it a little bit to the right and coming down, ending at my hip, making sure my elbows are engaged, and then when I go with my left foot out, I cross under my chin so I'm diagonal. So I'm here, diagonal here, and then I take this left foot and I cross around and come up. Yep. So right, left, cross, come up. Right, left, cross, come up. Okay, pretty simple. I'm going to show you another way that we have done camel. I didn't teach this in the last workshop because I don't know, I feel like this one needs some work, but maybe y'all can take it and do something really cool with it. So another way that we do camel is one-handed. So we would, we would in Taksim put our right palm underneath our basket. And then we would lift it, lower it, lift it, and then do the torso rotation with it. So, Taksim to get your right palm under, and then do the camel, but just with the basket. And then you'd have to Taksim to get it out. So the reason I think that one didn't stick is because originally we were going to try to do several kind of palm movements, but we just couldn't come up with any other palm movements that we liked. And it can look really cool, and it can look really cool as kind of an accent move, but I don't know, it just didn't take hold much, but y'all can try it and see if you end up finding anything. I mean, technically, you could do all kinds of things with it, I guess. I don't know. And I think I also, throughout college, I waited tables. And so, like, this just feels a lot like, I'm getting ready to slap people's food on their table. But try it. Maybe you'll decide that there is some, like, right palm basket stuff that you think works really well and really cool. But for now, for this workshop, we're just going to do the two-handed with the camel. So down. I guess I'm saying up because I'm going up on my toes. And then turn and up. Yeah, questions?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're doing the camel with both hands, wait, it's down here, and then the basket goes to the same direction as the leg is going out.
Yeah. So the first half of the camel, I'm down at my right hip, so I'm up on my toes, My right foot is in front. The second half, oh, let me do it away from you. I'm sorry. First half, second half. So my basket is over to the left. My left leg is pointing out. And then I take my left leg and, like with Loco Camel, I cross it over my right to finish the move.
Okay.
So one more time from the back. So right, left, turn around. Right, left, turn around. Is that helpful? More helpful when I do it from the back, so you can
yes,
see
thank you.
Yeah. Good. Okay, any questions about camel? No? Okay. That's a pretty simple one. I actually think Sarah is one of the hardest. Okay, so now we're gonna do the moves that are two handhold moves. So the moves that we've been doing are basically you can do either, but these moves are, I would consider completely two-hand moves. So let me show you the barrel and then I'll teach it to you. Wait, I forgot what my front was, sorry. And then I could go back into it, or I could finish it with the arm circle, or what would be the arm circle. So, I moved my lipstick so my papers are flying. Okay, so we're in whatever move, Taksim, whatever, and to cue the basket, just to make sure that we don't confuse it with the reverse turn, because you prepare the baskets in a similar way for both moves. So for the basket, we do a slight dip and then flip to vertical. So what my hands are doing is they're overhead, but it's a slight dip, and then I'm using my thumbs to push it vertically, and then I'm grabbing here so it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. So dip, push, and then you start the arc on the right side, and then you keep the inside of the basket facing the audience as you finish the arc on the left, and then when you come around, you go horizontal again, and you raise it overhead, and then you can dip again, just like you can do more than one barrel without finishing it in regular. You can do more than one basket barrel without finishing it. And it goes horizontal for that last left hip up. And then now I want to tell everybody I'm finished. So I'm going to do, like I would do the arm circle, I'm going to do a circle counterclockwise. So one more time. Okay, questions about that? What I find in practice, oh yeah, that looks beautiful. What I find in practice is that the issue with this move is people forget to finish it because you're holding a basket, and so you're not really doing the arm floreo, you know, the arm circle. And so, so you just have to watch out for that. when you're dancing with someone and they're leading is they may forget to do that final circle to finish the move. So the goal is to do the final circle because the goal is always to keep the moves as true to the Fat Chance style as possible. But that's just something that I've noticed is that people will forget. So, you know, we talk about really slow versus, you know, a faster tempo slow. So I definitely think that this one is one that you really, you know, want to lift and engage your rib cage as you're bending so you get that nice line. And then engage again as you're bending so you get that nice line. And then again, we're doing that. We bring it across our body and it goes horizontal. And then we bring it up all the way. Okay. Couple more times. Yeah? Okay. Okay, so we need to, we didn't drill camel yet, did we? We drilled wraparound and Sara, but not camel. So let's drill camel and barrel, because I don't like to teach more than two without drilling them to music, and then we'll keep adding on. Yeah.
Okay. Just one question regarding the fingers in the transition. So when you dip, you put the fingers in, then you turn. Do you also transition your thumbs inside when you're back? Yeah?
Yeah, so when I'm at the bottom, I'm switching to my thumbs.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, so I'm giving the detailed kind of finger positions, but if you work out a finger position that works better for you, then that's fine.
All right. Okay.
Personally, for me, when I'm dancing with baskets, I don't paint my nails because I don't want attention drawn to where my hands are in the basket. Nor do I want attention drawn to where everybody else's fingers or hands are. So because it's, you know how we say like with Fat Chance style, we're wearing the big skirts, so there's some moves that it just doesn't matter where your feet are or how you execute the turn or whatever. So it's the same with the basket. It doesn't really matter how you get your fingers back and forth. And, you know, if you have your fingernails painted, that's not the end of the world. I'm just saying that, like, you know, when you take that tiny little attention to detail and like amp it up, I just don't usually do that because I don't want my fingers to stick out. I want them to fade into the, you know, nobody really pay attention to them.
Thank you.
Questions, and then we will, I see people are chatting. I never have the chat open. Okay, yeah, good. Nothing that I need to know about. Okay, so let's drill camel and barrel, and then...
Sorry, one more question.
Yeah, please.
Your gaze is following the basket during the barrel all the time?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Except for, let's see, except for that last coming up, you know, in the last arm circle, but the whole time that you're like going over the barrel, okay. That's a great question. I tell you, y'all are asking so many good questions, you know, like great detail questions. Okay, so let's drill the camel and the barrel. So I have permission from two different artists to use their music for this tour. And one of the artists is Afrit Temple, of course, the Diane Ishma CD. But the other is called Tribal from the Trap. And this is like a whole different sort of sound. I don't know if anybody's used to it or not, but we're doing a number of performances to this when we're recording performances because it's just cool. So I'll put that on for this girl. Does anybody else dance to their music? Anybody ever used them before? No, they're really cool. And the other style of dance that I use or that I do is fly fusion. And so we use this a lot for like fly fusion performances. Does somebody have a question? Yeah, anyway, so questions that came up while we were drilling those moves, or how was that?
When you hold the basket above you, sorry, it's a beginner question again. Yeah. You hold it like this? Like the fingers?
It depends. Sometimes my fingers are up, and sometimes my fingers are clasped.
Okay.
It really just depends on the move that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if I'm getting ready to have to move it in some way, then if I'm getting ready to do the thumb thing where I tilt it, then I'm going to close my fingers because I don't want it to get away from me. I don't know how many of y'all, some of y'all that I've met when I came to Germany, you know, it's always been Dawn and Ming and I that came the 2 times. And so Ming is famous for throwing her props, but they only hit me. So she'll be zilling and the zills will fly off her fingers and they'll hit me in the face. She'll be dancing with a basket and she'll lose hold of it and it'll like whack me. So No one else do her props ever hit except for me.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
When you're doing the camel, but with the one arm, and you're doing the torso twist, are you doing the right side with the basket the same way, the whole torso twist, or a little bit like sword, not too much?
Yeah, so I'm trying to do the whole thing. Of course, it's hard because the basket, and then you can't, of course, do the floreo, but I'm trying to at least engage my shoulder. But, you know, one of the things that I feel really strongly about with this basket stuff is you take it and you stylize it how you like it. So it doesn't matter to me if you're like, oh, yeah, I like this, but I want to do a big floreo with the basket. You like the way that looks, you do it that way. I don't have, when Dawn and I created this, we don't have any ego around you doing it our way. You take it, you modify it. The only thing that I do ask though, and this is a weird kind of tricky thing now that everything is international. So a couple of times people have taught like Dainishma things that we created at international conferences that are virtual now. And so I do ask that if you get invited to teach something that's virtual, that is our stuff, that you ask me first, about that. So it's come up twice that I reached out to dancers and I'm like, I don't, like if you change it substantively, then just credit us. But if you're actually teaching our stuff, then please do reach out and let's talk about it ahead of time. It avoids the awkward conversation of me having to contact somebody and say, I don't know about this. This just feels weird. But take it, do what you want to with it, modify it, change it, say, I hate the way they do that. I'm going to come up with a better way. All of that's great. Okay, are you ready for reverse turn and rainbow? Okay, so reverse turn is the one that we have to make sure does not look like the barrel, because we're also at the top doing a vertical. So we're immediately going vertical to drop down to our right hip. So let me show you what it looks like. Sorry, I whacked myself in the mirror. So pretty simple, but you can see how this and this could be a confusing cue with the basket. So that's why we added the little dip for the heads up we're doing a barrel turn. So for reverse turn, if you think about it, without the basket is a super simple move with the floreos, but of course we're not doing the floreos because we have the basket in our hand. So what I like about this move is we come down to our right hip, make sure your elbows are engaged, and then we stay at our right hip when we turn. And so that creates a really pretty visual. And then as I'm coming back up, I just flatten, back to the regular horizontal position. So down to the right hip, stay at the right hip, and then up to horizontal. I mean, pretty easy, but I think it looks really pretty with the whole staying at the hip. So I'll probably teach this move when we do our last 30 minutes of fast. But when we're horizontal at the hip, it's really easy to not have the basket be horizontal. The move I'm specifically thinking of is Seviana. It's really easy to pull back. But when we're showing the basket at the hip, we want to make sure that it's horizontal to the audience, even if our body isn't. So like for reverse turn, my body is already starting to twist, but I'm trying to keep the basket flat to the audience. keep it flat to the audience, and then up. Does that make sense? It's not a big deal with reverse turn because most of us aren't twisting enough with reverse turn that it really is going to matter. But when we get into some of the fast moves like Sevillana, it does matter. So that's why I'm just trying to be consistent. Okay, any questions about reverse turn? That one probably seems easy compared to everything else we've done. Okay, ready for rainbow? I actually changed rainbow for this tour. Okay, let me show it to you. So, again, not rocket science, but I think it looks pretty cool. So I'm in whatever move. When I go into rainbow, so typically our right arm would go over and meet our left arm. So the right basket is going to, the only basket is going to circle around and land here. And, you know, even with any rainbow, you want a nice angle with your hip, but it particularly looks nice with the basket. My elbows are engaged in the front. I'm not doing this number. You know, I'm keeping my elbow engaged, chest lifted. And so then instead of the floreos, I'm just slowly, flock of birds, moving the basket over, and now both elbows engaged on the right side. So when I switch my weight from the left hip to the right hip on and, that's when I'm switching my basket to vertical. And then I'm rainbowing my vertical basket the other way, and then switching to whatever move I want to do on and. Does that make sense? Now, your group decides to do vertical and then horizontal. I don't care. Do whatever you want. I like the horizontal and then vertical because it's consistent with the way that we do other moves. If we, we do, what's it called? Roundhouse. We do roundhouse and it's horizontal, flip, vertical. So when we are doing a move and we are doing the basket in both horizontal and vertical, we usually start horizontal and then flip to vertical. It's just kind of a rule that we have when we were creating it. Okay, so questions about rainbow? Yeah. Huh?
Please show us again once more.
Oh, show us. Yes, of course. Thank you. Yeah, of course. So you're in whatever move. You're going to take the basket off to my right side and all the way around to sit into my left hip. Just like if we were doing the rainbow Q, we would bring the right arm all the way around. So sit in to my left hip, and then bring it horizontal over, you know, you'd have your 4 floreos. And then on and, I'm going to switch to my right hip out, sitting into my right hip, and that's when I make the basket vertical. And then I go all the way around with a vertical basket, and then on and, I'm going to switch to horizontal to do something else. Of course, and is kind of random and slow because, you know, you're not really counting. I mean, you know, it's not. So questions about that? Okay, so let's drill those two. Let's see, because we got to get in balance before we switch to fast. So we'll drill these two. Rainbow and reverse turn. Okay, I just made that up. The torso with the basket on the left hip. I didn't really like it, but I just was like, oh, let's try this. Because that's the way a lot of stuff gets created. You know, you're like in the flow and you're like, okay, let's try this. But I didn't like it. Okay, questions about that before we go to balance moves? Let's see, I'm going to turn my air down. Okay. I love the balance moves. There's a lot of things that you can do balancing. And then I'm going to give you the balance sheet that is going to allow you to do even more things balancing. So, like I said, you can go into Taksim, you can go into reverse Taksim. I always do it in Taksim. I don't know why. I guess because in that chant style, we're just usually in Taksim. And so you wait until you're balanced, and then you're down. Okay, so what are some good moves that you can do balancing that are pretty simple moves? So circle step is good, right? You can, if you practice, do circle step. I wouldn't do half. I would do the thirds. Yep. So, but again, you know, it's all about practice. Balancing the basket is all about practice. Torso rotation. This is actually a great way to teach torso rotation because you have to keep your head flat. So then your students aren't doing any kind of neck tuck or anything. So I frequently, when I teach torso rotation, pull the baskets out. So of course, arm undulations, torso. You just have to be really careful. Reverse Taksim, that one works well. Camel works well if you make sure you leave this top arm, you know, big. So you don't want to like knock into your basket, but it absolutely can be a gorgeous one. You can even do reverse turn if you do it really slow. So you would develop kind of your rhythm with your troop that would enable you to decide which moves are okay with balancing baskets and which moves are not okay. And it may depend on who you're dancing with. Like Ming, for example, has a round head. She really is not great at balancing the basket. So I'm not going to do reverse turn if she's in a group with me, because a full turn like that, she'll lose the basket for sure. Whereas like if Dawn and I are dancing together, she has kind of a flat head like I do. So I would do any balance move with her because it's going to stay balanced probably. Okay, so now let's talk about the slow basket balance cheat. And we do this for moves where we need to do a quick turn, like loco camel or wraparound. So if we're going to do something like loco camel, I'll grab the basket and then let it go. Wrap around. Got to go slow. Lift, grab the basket with my left hand, bring my right arm up, and let go at the same time. So we do not mind a cheat. We do it with fast spins and we do it with slow. But let me talk about the best way to cheat with your basket. So my basket is nice and good and balanced on my head. When I grab the basket, I don't want to let it wiggle around. I want to grab it with purpose. So I'm grabbing it and pushing down on my head. So my fingers are very engaged, and I am holding that basket on my balance point on my head, so that it's not moving around while I'm turning and then I have to rebalance it. So if it's already on the balance point and I'm doing wraparound, and I grab it and hold it very securely, then it's already balanced, so I can easily, like, I don't have to rebalance it. Does that make sense? So you want to just hold it hard on your head, so I can like feel the pressure I'm putting on my head. Yep. Good, good. Does that make sense? And then you're not in a position where you're, you know, because what looks cool about it is when your arm comes up at the same time as the other arm. But if you are trying to balance it, now that, you know, that happens sometimes, but it's great if you can practice and keep it on that balance point. So let me lead us through those moves. Do everybody got loco and wrap around and where you grab it?
Okay.
Okay. Let's go to a slow song, and we'll just do a bunch of different balance stuff. Okay, how's that? Good? Goodish? Yeah. So the basket, there's no shortcut. You know, with the balancing, you just have to, I remember when I was learning sword, and they were like, walk around the house with a sword on. Well, who can walk around their house with a sword on? But a basket, you can walk around the house with a basket on. So I would encourage you, because it really is practice makes perfect. Like, I've been doing basket for 10 years now, and I feel like there aren't many moves I couldn't balance the basket with. Like, it just kind of becomes part of my head. Okay, get a drink of water. I'm going to fill up my water. Y'all can tell when I'm talking, I'm like completely drinking a ton. Okay, so I know that we said the last 30 minutes fast, but I would love to do one final slow drill song where I'm just kind of throwing everything in that we learned today. How does that sound? Is that good with everybody? Let's see. Everybody finished getting your water.
You know, the idea to have a slow and a little bit of fast was that, yes, you can get a little sneak peek into your fast format because you teach it online.
Yeah.
I already learning this, and I can just everybody encourage to sign up because it's awesome. And for myself, I'm struggling with the fucking water pot since years, and I had several privates, and nobody fixed my water pot problem. And yes, and
okay.
yes, you show it to me, and I saw it at the video with basket, and it just fixed my problem, and I am able to water pot now, and I'm so happy. So
yay!
Sign up and learn it, and it's so pretty and it's so beautiful, and
that's great.
And it's easy to include in the already known dialect, so and already known movements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah. So there is a really extensive. Oh yeah, Alexandra's still here. Alexandra has the FAST class as well. So there's a very extensive FAST class available online, and this was pre-pandemic. So it was actually Dawn and I in the studio teaching, and then we pulled in some former Dionysia troop members who are drilling all of it. So you have the teaching videos, and then you have the drilling videos. And the goal was to record all of the slow after a reunion, like this spring, and then pandemic. Yeah, and Dawn's mom died too, and she just has not been in the dance mood. So yeah, so let's drill the slow, just because I want you to have that really solid. And other than this workshop, I can't point you to anything. We haven't recorded all of the slow yet. And the DVD that we put out, whatever it was, 5-7 years ago, we expanded the fast a ton from the DVD, but that's all in the online class. But the slow, I want you to get today because we don't yet have it recorded anywhere. So let's just drill the slow. I have a wall sheet, but I'm going to put it in front of me so I make sure that I'm getting in all of the moves. And we may do like 2 songs, just do all of the slow, and then I'll show you a couple of fast moves that the rules are the same as the slow moves in terms of the way we move the basket. Does that sound okay to everybody? Yeah, okay, awesome. What are you going to say? No, have a tantrum? Okay. Let's do Afrit Temple slow. There's 2 songs in a row. Yay! 2 full songs of drilling. How did it go? Do you have any questions about anything that came up while we were drilling it? I think I covered everything. Okay, so while we have time before we cool down, I'm going to show you a couple of fast moves that I alluded to. So one of them is, why do I have to do the movement to remember the name? You know, what's that one? Why can't I remember it? You know, not Chico, but Roundhouse. Roundhouse, yeah. So, fast roundhouse, you know, your arms are supposed to be floating around at the same, you know, like the whole time you're doing the movement. So we're trying that for basket 2. So, and you go around 2 rotations. So the first rotation, our basket is horizontal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so this is where you really do the thumb grab thing because you're on fast now. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you can go into whatever you want after that. So let me do it away from you. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then into something else. So you are moving your hands every time you move your basket from up to overhead to back down. You're continually adjusting your hands on the basket, and that's what makes this move hard. Even though it looks pretty, it's not super easy to do, particularly to keep your basket horizontal. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of filming yourself doing it, and if possible, doing it in the mirror. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How's that? Good? Crazy eyes. Okay, now I'm going to show you Seviana because that, like the reverse turn, you know, I showed you before, the basket at your hips. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So even though my body is stepping back, I'm still keeping the basket horizontal. And then it goes under my chin and around. Let me show it to you from the front. I should have done that first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I go from 6, 7, 8. 6, under my chin, 7, 8. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How's that? Okay, I'm going to show you a hard one. I'm going to show you Arabic double turn balanced. You ready? I'll show it to you and then I'll teach it to you. So that's our cheat again, where I grab the basket. But for the fast basket moves, it's even more important to apply pressure so that you don't lose your balance spot. So I'm going to do it facing away from you. So just practice to keep your basket on your head. 1, 2, 3, 4. Regular cue, 5, 6, 7. And when I go on my flat foot to prepare for my spin on 8, I grab the basket. And I 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when I go back into those last 4 counts of Arabic, I let the basket go and let my arm come up. So we'll do it a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you've got it nice and firm against your head, then hopefully it'll stay in the balance spot and you won't have to like reconfigure it. Okay, so roundhouse, Sevillana, this one, and I'll Arabic double turn. I'll teach you one more and then we'll drill all 4 of them before time to cool down and see if there's any questions. Let's see. Let me teach you Egyptian half turn into spin, because this is a really fun one and it moves the basket from 2 hands to left hold. So let me show you what it looks like and then I'll break it down. I'm not going to do the whole turn. So you're in regular Egyptian. Now we do a slight, very slight basket bounce in Egyptian. So it's more like just complementing our hips than it is bouncing up and down. Like if you think about shock absorbers in your car, you know how they just kind of absorb? It's more that than it is a bounce. So if you have a basket over your head, you have to cue the half turn bigger. So I take my my chest really all the way to the other walls. And then I've cued half turn and I'm in half turn. To cue the spin, just like to cue a regular spin, we put our arms down when we move to the front. We put our basket down under our bra, like we normally hold the basket here. 2, 3, 4. And then when we turn to the back, for those counts, we're putting our basket on our left shoulder, right, left, and we're holding onto it. So that when we turn and we put our arm position in the correct position on 1, that's when our arm goes up. So one of the things that happens sometimes that makes it look different is if people are cueing it to the back and then putting their arm out and then choosing arm positions. So for this move, we just agreed we are always going to do the split arm position because we like the way that looks with the basket, so that we can keep the arm here, and then when we turn, we go straight into the split arm position. Make sense? So 1, 2, 3, 4, cue the half turn, turn to the back, woo, cue the spin, basket to the left shoulder, keep holding on, and 1. Okay, that was kind of fast, down and dirty. Let's drill them and see if any issues come up. So roundhouse, Sevillana, I'm saying it for my benefit, not yours. Roundhouse, Sevillana, Arabic double turn, balanced, and spin. I love to spin. If we did the fast workshop, we'd be spinning the whole time because I love to spin. Okay, let me put on a song, and it's not too fast, maybe. that was fast. Ha! Get some water. So if you didn't get it, no problem. That was just like a little sampler, kind of a little introduction to get you interested, if you're interested in learning fast basket. You know, I think that slow looks super good because it's so slow and you can make it so dramatic with the way that you move the basket. But fast looks good too because it's super impressive, particularly when everybody's moving the basket in the same way. So any questions about that before we do a nice cool down? Okay, so let me get us some soft music, bring our heart rate down. got like 4 minutes-ish for questions, although I'm happy to stay as long as y'all have questions. So, what do you think?
Thank you, that was very fun.
Good. So let me make the offer that I make to all of my online students, which is, because I cannot be in the room with you to give you feedback, if you want to videotape yourself doing anything and send it to me on Facebook or email, then I will videotape myself giving you feedback and send it back to you. So it's kind of one of the things, I do it for all my weekly classes as well. It's one of the ways that I compensate for not being able to be in the room and give you feedback and, you know, be able to tell you how to adjust things or fix things. So feel free to do that. I'm happy to answer your questions, to give you video feedback. Yeah, and thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
It's great.
Yeah, I would love to thank everyone who's attending today. It was my first time that I organized such an event, and I feel very, very, very honored that Lisa is contacting me. And I just wanted to tell you just a few seconds about where your money goes to. And yeah, it's Obdach für Frauen. It's a local-based charity organization from a few women from the upper class. They just to see that we are women, we can hold on a lot of pressure because before we ask for help. So there's the old women who whose husbands stay at the war, and she was in Germany. It's called Zugehfrau. When you lost your husband in war, and after then you go to another family and help them as their housemaid, and they give you money. And those women never appear at the Arbeitsamt or something where, so they're walking, they didn't work for the government. They didn't work, so they get just a little amount of rent. And when their glasses broke or something else, they aren't able to get new ones, or the teeth, the thirds. So they have no choice. There are women who get a new kitchen and a new flat from the government because they have to leave their abusive husband. And after they're in the flat, he came and destroyed everything. And then they say, oh, sorry, you already get some money, so you're out. We done our job, and so please go somewhere else. Or people who are homeless and need money to pay the, was ist es, was man bei Miete, Sicherheit? Kaution. They haven't the money to pay the caution to get a flat. And this is where Obdach für Frauen jump in. They gave microcredits where they can pay back. They help with clothes. They have a second-hand boutique, and they're really, really tough. And they're some kind of women that you can't just put close the door in front of them. So they're stepping in. And you can just say, go everywhere, somewhere else. So I love those women, and they're since 10 years here in Freiburg. And this is why I choose this organization, because I know them personally and I love their work. And yeah, I'm just happy that we can support them. And thank you all for your donations.
Yes, thank you so much. And I hope that you end up loving Basket as much as I do. I just love it. It's my favorite prop. I think it looks so beautiful to dance with. And so hopefully we'll be spreading that basket joy all over as well. And thank you, Virginie, for doing this. It's my honor to be able to partner with you and so many other amazing dancers. And thank you for coming.
Yes.
Yay. So a virtual hug from overseas. Yeah. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Right, thank you.
Bye
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.